listening to Turning a Page on Good Morning Delhi with Sarthak.
And what a wonderful thing you're doing, because what we're trying to do is trying to see if we can entice you into falling in love with the written word, the fragrance of a new book, the tingle in the fingertips of an idea. And the idea of Master of Seven Swars is something that made me literally giggle with joy, because it is about teaching music, but it's not about teaching music in the teaching way. It's a pop-up book which also tells you about the seven swars. And of course, I could tell you all that I've read on the internet and in the book itself, but we've got the brains behind the book. So why? Pratyush, thank you very much for coming into the studio and talking to us.
Hi Sarthak, thanks for having me here.
So tell us, where was the seed planted for this wonderful book that you've written?
So actually there were a lot of seeds planted over my lifetime.
Right.
But I think the first one would be when I started learning Hindustani music at the age of 6.
Right.
When I started learning back then, I found the music very boring, intimidating. I couldn't really relate to the music or the world, how it related to the world around me. And I would just repeat what my teacher sang, and that left me a little dejected. But I was still curious about this music, but I still couldn't find any books or resources specifically for children like me to help me learn Indian classical music.
Right.
And I kind of learned music off and on. I was never really so much into it. But then I went on to learn visual communication design at college.
Oh, wonderful.
And
what college was this?
This was Srishti in Bangalore.
Oh, wonderful. Of course. Yeah.
And that's when I actually reconnected with music. So for a particular project, I took all the elements of Indian classical music and condensed them into the form of a poster. And that kind of went semi-viral.
Okay.
And that gave me the idea to actually use these same elements and do something for children.
Right.
And then as a part of my graduation project, I compiled these series of books to help children just have fun with the seven swars.
So, of course, this was a graduation project is something that you're very academically looking at, because it also means numbers and future jobs, etc. But was it difficult? The weighing in, the balancing of commercial and educational needs with your passion. I mean, where did the story come about?
So the story actually started when I was on holiday in Ranikhet. And I was just hiking and in a forest, listening to the birds chirp and the insects whisper and the wind rustling through the trees.
Ooh.
And I could also hear this crow who was trying to blend in, but couldn't really figure out how.
Sure.
And that got me started thinking on the idea of a crow who wanted to sing like Tansen.
Okay.
And that's how Kaga, the protagonist of the book, was born. So Kaga is a crow who wants to learn classical music, but he doesn't know how to. So he meets the creators of the seven swars.
Okay.
So according to ancient scriptures, it said that the seven swars actually came from the sounds of different animals. So Sa is supposed to be the sound of a peacock, Re is the sound of a papiha, and Ga is the sound of a goat.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
How wonderful. And this is actually written in our scriptures.
It's written in our scriptures.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
And that's where the story came from, yeah?
That's where the story came
And then
from.
where did it go?
And where did it go? So, Karan, it actually took me almost 12 years to actually refine this project and make it ready for production.
Right.
And during the time, I think it's grown far more than what I'd imagined.
I'm sure.
It's kind of evolved into workshops and theatre performances. And I'm trying to just build this entire ecosystem and get more people interested and excited about Indian classical music.
And it's wonderful. It's a book that's tactile. It also makes you think, and it's not just a written word. In itself, a sort of a sort of paper Instagram where things pop out at you literally. So was the pop-up an idea that you always had, or did it develop with the story?
So actually the initial pop-ups were even more complex than this.
Oh, I see.
Yes,
Okay.
so that's what actually stalled the production for so long. I'd made a very complex design initially, and though I still like that idea, but I think this simplicity took me some time to kind of get the right balance between simplicity and the magic that these pop-ups bring.
You you chose two things that people are saying people don't have time for. One, Hindustani classical music. There's always mumblings and grumblings about how it's dying, but really it is flourishing. We know that there's a whole new generation of artists who are flying the flag beautifully. And books. So how did that idea come about? I mean, you always wanted to make the book. I mean, did you have second thoughts?
Yes, a lot of people actually told me to go in the direction of making an app. But I've always been fond of pop-ups, of having this tactile experience.
Yes, absolutely.
And especially there's so much distraction online. I didn't want children that to be the first stepping point for children.
Sure.
And so this is the entry point, the tactile experience, the entire immersive experience, which for all the senses.
Of course.
And I think that just has a different kind of impact.
Sure.
Which any app or digital medium cannot give.
Absolutely. You open a book and something pops out at you and you're like, And then there's actually something where you need to light it up to see what's inside that pop-up.
So each swar also has a particular color and mood. So you can light up the pop-ups to reveal these aspects.
It's beautiful. You might want to check it out. Swarpeti.com is the website. SWARPETI.
It also comes with a musical app, so you can actually access that by scanning a QR code in the book.
Right.
And then you can actually play and hear the swars and do activities in the book.
That's brilliant. There's also a question that is popping into my head: the fact that there's you've obviously learnt music and you've also learnt visual design. Is there a fear of oversimplification, considering that there is just such a vast amount of knowledge there, which can be intimidating? So obviously there is a case to be made for simplification, but was there also a little bit of a thought that it might be oversimplified and people might not understand the depth?
I think this is just a starting point. I don't want children to just be scared and intimidated by everything that's out there.
Sure.
So this is just to spark their curiosity. Once they see this is something that they would like to explore further, they are free to just, the world is their oyster. They can go online, they can go to music school and just learn more about this music.
The gateway opens, so to speak.
The gateway opens.
And what's the response been to the book?
The response has been quite phenomenal. Like everyone who sees the book, their eyes just light up and they immediately want a copy, and it's been quite overwhelming. I printed around 500 copies of this book and they're almost sold out now.
Wow. Such a wonderful word picture you drew for us when you were telling us about your sojourn in Ranikhet, which sort of, triggered. I mean, nature whispering sweet nothings. It's absolutely wonderful. But this can get a little addictive, no? When you do something like this, it gets appreciation. So what's the next step?
So Kaga's journey is just started.
Right.
He has so much more to learn.
Of course.
And so he'll dive into the world of melodies and the rhythms, and there's a lot more, many more aspects of Indian classical music.
Of course.
Waiting to be discovered. And then I do plan to open it up online as well, add a few more resources so that more people can access this magic. And the idea is to just give parents, teachers and children the tools to create music and just enjoy it in whatever way possible.
I also wanted to ask about the fact that getting a book published now, especially with all the technology involved and self-publishing, etc. People say it's easy. What was your experience like?
No, it's not easy. It's not easy. Even I started out thinking it would be easy, but like I told you, the journey has been 12 years, and this is not a traditional book which you can just go to any printer and print it out. It took a lot of experimentation, refinement to get it out, and even after that, this had an entire crowdfunding campaign that ran for a year. And
because I'm assuming this needs full attention, because the pop-up will, and then replication as well.
Yes, it does, and the printers have done a very good job with it.
Sure.
And even after that, just figuring out the marketing, the distribution, it's very difficult to do single-handedly.
Sure.
So if anyone wants to get into self-publishing, I would tell them to take a step back and really think.
Which is what I'm about to ask you, that we're living in the world of social media.
Right.
Swarpeti, @Swarpeti is the Instagram handle, by the way, if you want to check out more. It's only proper that we do a bit of a listicle about people who want to do something like what you've done. They're taking their first tentative steps. So what are those 3 to 5 points that you want them to either remember or forget, whichever it is that you want?
I think the story has to be unique. So something which resonates with them
Sure.
first will only resonate with someone else.
Sure.
And again, something like this requires time and commitment and also money.
Sure.
So ensure that you have all of those. And yeah, don't give up hope. I had a lot of setbacks during these 12 years. I showed it to a lot of publishers who loved the book, but I got a no from most of them because it was complicated for them to produce. So
Sure.
don't give up. Continue your journey. Stay curious, and you'll get there.
That's important. And this is coming from someone who spent 12 years holding on to that dream. Sometimes I'm sure with the fingernails. but
True.
the product is beautiful. It's called Master of the Seven Swars. It's available on swarpeti.com. That's SWARPETI.com. That's also Pratyush's Instagram ID in case you want to know more, if you want to ask questions. I'm sure DMs are open, right?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, so send them across, and it's an absolute joy to have had this conversation, and the light of hope burns bright seeing such wonderful passion and such wonderful joy in the tactility of things. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you so much, Sarthak.
That's turning a page for you, ladies and gentlemen. Please do remember that the touchy-feely bit, sometimes it works. We're taking a break. Coming right back right here on 94.3 Radio 1.